Rune Factory is a fantasy farming simulator action RPG. Unfortunately, the series died after the company went bankrupt in 2013. Luckily, Marvelous Entertainment had acquired the rights to the series, which, of course, they waited 8 years before finally deciding to release a sequel. Rune Factory 5 came out on the 20th of May this year. Originally, I had planned on releasing this video prior to that release, but as a dumbass, I kept screwing things up trying to get this video done, which caused several massive delays. I almost gave up, but decided to persevere, perhaps against my better judgment, as I was pretty certain there'd be no results at the end of this. Spoiler alert, I actually did produce results much earlier than I thought I would. If that's all you care about, then check the description for a timestamp to let you skip to that. The first part of this video will be explaining what I did, how I screwed up, and some thoughts going into making this video. With that being said, let's go ahead and begin the video, shall we? So aside from being both a very good farming simulator and action RPG with good story and characters, Rune Factory 4 has hundreds of events and several instances of unique dialogue during story cutscenes. You can bring the townsfolk into dungeons with you, and most of them have unique dialogue for certain dungeons. For example, Forte, being afraid of ghosts, will abandon you in the Obsidian Mansion as you progress through it. There are many scenes such as this, which got me wondering, if you can have a child and bring them into the dungeons with you, would they have any unique dialogue like the other characters? They'd have to program that after all, but would they actually expect anyone to get married before the first dungeon? I looked it up online and couldn't find any evidence of this. As such, I felt compelled that I had to verify it myself. Unfortunately, things didn't go exactly as planned. In Rune Factory 4, much like in real life, if you are a man, no one will marry you unless you have a double bed, engagement ring, go on at least 3 dates with them, and get their love points to 10. Now, I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure the double bed and engagement ring are impossible to get without progressing through the story. So obviously, my first point of business was to unlock New Game Plus. Luckily, I had already completed the game once before, but I still had over 20 side quests that I needed to complete first. For those of you who don't know, many of the endgame quests are complete BS, and were designed by a sadist who loves watching people suffer as they do the exact same monotonous task for hours. It wouldn't be so bad if I wasn't so intent on speaking to literally every townsfolk every single day, in addition to doing all these quests. But, despite knowing they're just a bunch of ones and zeros, I still would feel bad if I ignored my virtual friends. After all, God knows I need more friends in my life. Now fortunately, this did allow me to work on increasing their friendship points up to 10, which is a quest itself, so it wasn't a complete waste. I did find ways to help expedite this process. Apparently, everyone will accept you giving them turnip seeds, so I highly recommend investing in a massive amount of turnip seeds to throw at people every day. Truly a task to make Mist proud. Anyway, I spent about 2 months trying to 100% all the unique quests in the game to unlock New Game Plus in order to get to work on this video. Upon starting a new game, I figured I should go for someone I had not married yet. My first playthrough on the 3DS, I married Xiao, because she explodes if she trips, and if marrying a tactical nuke isn't the hottest thing ever, then you have terrible taste in women. On my RF4 special file, I had married Dulce. This time, Dulce and Amber are both locked to story progression, so I really only had to choose between Forte, Clorica, and Margaret. Since Clorica is the first girl you meet in-game, I decided to pursue her. Not that I have an issue with the, special knight or the artistic elf, but first come first served, you know? So I spent 2 seasons wooing Clorica. I found out you aren't just limited to giving a person a single gift a day. For you see, every character has 4 categories of gifts. Gifts that they love, gifts that they like, gifts that they are neutral towards, and gifts that they hate, like Xiao and exploding tomatoes. So you can give a character 1 gift in each of these 3 categories a day and get the relationship boost with them. I had no idea about this when I played through the game, but this greatly increases the speed at which you generate LP in 1 day. Also, if you do handmade gifts, that too boosts LP a little. That said, for neutral gifts, I always recommend the aforementioned turnip seeds. For Clorica, every day, thanks to one of Eliza's quests, I had a ton of apples, and I threw apple pies and baked apples at her in addition to the turnip seeds. She greatly appreciated the gesture. As such, I plan on throwing apple pies at random women in real life in hopes that they'll date me. Anyway, I had an engagement ring, a double bed, and took her on enough dates to finally be able to marry her. There were a couple of red flags I saw with Clorica. Primarily, she keeps bringing up her imaginary friends, but I still decided to accept her insanity for the greater good of making this video. All I needed was for her marriage event to fire off. Except it wouldn't. Like, 2 seasons in the game, I just couldn't get the damn event to trigger. I googled it, and then... Oh. Fuck! Yeah, I didn't think about needing characters from later in the game to trigger a damn marriage event for a completely unrelated person. I wasted a lot of time on this for 0 recompense, but that's okay. I checked the conditions for Forte and she seemed fine. For the record, Margaret requires at least Dulce, but Forte was fine. She didn't need anyone who would later be unlocked. After pursuing Clorica for 2 to 3 seasons, I immediately betrayed her and went with the knight. Now normally I would never condone NTR, but I was not about to give up on this video just yet. I felt bad, but I had to do this, for science. So I started dating Forte, and I spent 2 seasons throwing omurice, egg dishes, and turnip seeds at her. I got her pre-marriage event to fire off pretty easily, so all I needed was the actual marriage event, right? In Rune Factory 4 for the 3DS, this was completely done through RNG, but due to how fickle RNGesus is, they removed the RNG for marriage events and Arc 3 in the Switch port. So the marriage event should have theoretically fired off in just a few days after reaching LP10, right? Except it didn't. Why? Well, 14 does not require any of the 4 characters who are unlocked during the story. But she does require you to have access to certain regions in the world outside of town. Yeah, I didn't even consider that there'd be something required in the game in addition to characters being unlocked. Which is really on me, because I bloody married Xiao my first time playing the game. I knew this, I just didn't think about it. After all, thinking is very hard. As it turns out, you cannot marry any bachelorette without leaving town and progressing the story to at least a certain extent. And with that, I finally decided it was impossible to make this video. So instead, I just continued my original save, screwed around for quite some time, and I made the most resistive armor set I could. I made some really strong weapons, I tamed a level 12,000 terrible, I upgraded many crops including the emery flower to level 10, and with that, I was going to lay the game down to rest and just wait for Rune Factory 5 to come out. Then, I remembered you could play as a woman. However, wouldn't marrying the guys just pose the same problems as the women? Well, a woman doesn't require many of the requirements that playing as a guy does in order to get married. So I decided to check out the requirements. And lo and behold, the first guy I checked, Vishnal, does not require any progression in the story to marry. Why are all these women so high maintenance compared to the men? Maybe men are just too easy. Anyway, I got a sex change and the video was back on. As a side, I'd like to mention that I'm glad I went with Vishnal. I'm not sure if he has any events outside of town, but during the course of my courting of Vishnal, Arthur had an event that sent him out of town, so I consider that a bullet dodged. I also had my child before ever getting him back, so I just like to imagine the royal capital just assumed their prince died for a span of like 5 years before he finally showed back up. Anyway, for this I had to restart my game as Frey and import New Game Plus data again. This time with higher stats and better pets, also a lot of gold vegetables. A ton of golden vegetables, like holy shit Vishnal, what the fuck? All that money I could have made making gold juice, but instead I threw it at Vishnal in order to win his heart. Like I thought butlers were supposed to be the ones to do this kind of stuff for the master, not the other way around. My own genetics were physically repulsed by my own actions of throwing so much money away at him. But in the end, it was very easy to woo him. It took less than a season to get him to 10 LP and trigger his marriage event. In a single month, I was able to get him to almost quit his dreams in order to marry me. Yeah, men are easy. So anyway, with the marriage done, I had to have a child. And that happens naturally over the course of just playing the game. Eventually, I found out I got pregnant and Vishnal began freaking out. I swear he kept feeding me more disastrous dishes than he used to, so I couldn't tell if he was trying to get rid of the child or just trying to increase its resistances. Either way, Luna was born and I could finally get this video underway. So I had to redo a large part of this video. I was planning on showing every cutscene in this video just so I had all my bases covered. Unfortunately, the video was going to be well over 3 hours long, so instead, I'll probably just upload the full story scenes I recorded for this as a separate video for anyone interested in that. This video will just show scenes with the unique dialogue and the dungeons they belong to. Also, I was shocked when I initially left town because I got stopped by Forte for introduction animation. I had completely forgotten that you only trigger this when you leave town. Unfortunately, there's no unique child dialogue, but I still thought it was pretty funny to include since, I've been living in this town for maybe 5 years at this point. Anyway, let's get along with this video, shall we? Before we begin, please note that this video will have full spoilers of basically all plot points of the story and many other events. This seems obvious, but I've learned through my years that common sense is no longer common. Then again, I'm a moron, so I have no right to judge. And with that, the video shall begin.
どうした？
ダグ？
大丈夫か？おいおい。おう。おはようございます。はい。はあ、すみません。いってらっしゃいませ。
やっほー。ねえねえ。
何してんだ。
いや
たく。はあ。
ありがとう。
いや悪い悪い。そうだな。へへい。じゃあな。
入ります。それではまた。
やるぞ。
ですわ。 ちゃん。
おや？おお。はい。
ありがとう。
ダメだ。たく。ちきしょう。はい。なんだと。おい。必要なら呼んでくださいね。
行くよ。
ください。ジェーイ。うわー、執事の力。はい。行きます。
素晴らしい。なんだ。
いやいや。すみません。なるほど。はい。 おや？はい、さて。
ありがとうございます。はい。
In the end, there was no unique dialogue in Arc 3 with your child in the story scenes. Again, I will post all the story events in full to my channel soon for those interested in just the story scenes. Since there was no unique dialogue, I cut the rest of the recordings from the video as it added too much to this video's runtime. I will say, I was surprised while making this video. Not only does your child have unique dialogue, but they also have it as early as the first dungeon itself. And then there's even a scene specifically for if you marry Vishnal and have your child in the party with you. It's just the little stuff like this that remind me just how much work was put into making this game such a fun experience. I know some people might look over this, thinking it's not that big of a deal. But how many people would go out of their way to get married and have a child prior to leaving town for the first time? Before the first dungeon. Yet they still made dialogue for your child just in case some madman, such as myself, did decide to do this. Anyway, I made this video to document something I didn't think had been documented before since I do love this game so much. And with Rune Factory 5 out in Japan now, I felt like it was a good thing to do before putting this game down to rest. I have high hopes for Rune Factory 5, but we still have no international release date yet. That said, I hope you all enjoyed this video at least, or found something interesting in it. Have a good rest of your day.